David, we're here in Oklahoma City at the Petroleum Club for the event, The Future of Business and Benefits. Obviously, it's hosted by True Captive Insurance and sponsored by Valenz. Talk to me, David, as the CEO of True Captive Insurance. What's the overarching goal for putting together an event like this?
Really, it's about bringing people and companies together to talk about how can they take back control of health insurance. You know, it is one of the most expensive budget lines that they have, and many times they feel lost or rudderless, and there are a host of great people that we've put together here to talk about how we can help them take control and build a plan that really is in their image, not one that they're regurgitated and given to by some of the other carriers.
Well, that's a key thing, obviously, in our industry is understanding that outside of the potential savings, outside of some of the shiny objects that get dangled in front of you as an employer, is the control aspect is crucial, and that understanding that you do have the ability to take control of your health plan, right, and presenting to them an idea that allows for that option, which I love, because what you guys are doing, and obviously the team that you've assembled here today, all, I think, exist around that spectrum of self-funding. So talk to me about the decision of Oklahoma City, though. You know, this is a city that's near and dear to me. Used to call on it back in my sales days. But what made you decide on the Petroleum Club and downtown Oklahoma City as a destination for your event?
Two things. One, selfish, but mainly we're headquartered out of Kansas City and believe very strongly in the Midwestern roots. And Oklahoma City is almost like a mirror city to a Kansas City. So know that people are really focused on, you know, being there for one another, really focused on trying to deliver for their employees and their neighbors. And it was just something that we felt like we would have a lot of alignment with this city. The selfish part is huge NBA fan, and the Oklahoma City Thunder play here, and so we planned the date around a Thunder game. Now, unfortunately, as many of us are dealing with the ups and downs and changes of the pandemic, they moved the game, so we won't be able to take in the Oklahoma City Thunder. But those two things, the Midwestern roots and having the Oklahoma City Thunder here, made it a no-brainer for our second turn in this type of event.
Well, and so you second turn, how many of these do you have planned for the year?
We'll have three more of these throughout the
Okay.
country the rest of the year.
That's awesome. Well, I love the city. I think from a receptiveness standpoint to what you're doing at True Captive, and obviously the other thought leaders that you have here and their solutions as well, I think this is going to be received with open arms. So I'm anxious to hear the feedback after a couple of months, kind of the fruitfulness of this choice. But the other thought leaders, we've talked about, you know, Marshall Allen is here, Rachel Strauss, obviously Rob Gelb, Adam Berkowitz. The list is pretty impressive. I don't want to forget Glenn Fisher as well, and obviously yourself. Talk to me, though, about the through line. We're offering control. We're offering some alternative funding mechanisms, some different options than maybe these employers have been hearing. But what is the connectivity between these thought leaders, and how did you go about the selection process?
There are two tenets to that, and the first one is the easiest one, is that we are the best in breed in each area of our subject matter expertise. The second one that I believe is the most important and most critical is we have sincere alignment on driving value for the customer, the patient, and the group. So everything we do is aligned to deliver a superior customer experience. And that's not just answering the phone and having a nice conversation with somebody. That's a drive to change an industry that is ripe for change, and people are craving change. And I believe that most everybody wants to participate in that effort, but to change is hard. You have to make that decision. And all the subject matter experts that are here today, we're all aligned in that mission together to work for and at the betterment of these companies.
Well, and what I like about that is when you're offering something that is a little bit decentralized versus buying something off the shelf like we talked about earlier, knowing that you have sort of a pre-selected or pre-vetted best in breed of each one of those vendors that work very well together, but that you know that, hey, if I go to work with David or if I go to work with Rob, all of these other components probably bolt on very well or have some synergies, so that you don't have to go through this individual vetting process necessarily if you don't have the time or you don't have the experience to know how to do that. So I do appreciate, right, that you've created this somewhat of an ecosystem, if you will, of vendors that all work well together and provide great solutions. So kudos to you there. You spent a number of years on the HR side, and we were chatting about this a little bit earlier. Now you're the person calling on, or your solution is being offered up as an option to these HR directors and thought leaders. So What is it? What has been the biggest surprise for you now that the tables have turned and you're sitting on the other side?
I underestimated fear. I really did. Fear of change. I was blessed and lucky enough to work for some great leaders that trusted me with the decision-making authority and autonomy about our healthcare plans. Not every HR leader, not every CFO, not every head of operations has that autonomy and authority. And because healthcare can be complex, or it's perceived as complex, making a decision to move into something that actually is much better for you, not only financially, but more importantly for your employees, seems cumbersome and scary. And if you make a mistake, there's millions of dollars at stake.
Yep.
And so people put their heads in the sand and they're frustrated that they're getting these 10, 15, 20% increases and their claims are getting rejected and no one's really working to help them take control. They still accept that because they're afraid of how do they manage that. And when you take everything back to that ecosystem that you were talking about, is it complex? Yes and no, but we take all the complexity out of it. You put your trust in us and we are going to deliver. You get to essentially benefit from this group of passionate individuals that are going to work tirelessly to make sure to deliver on our brand promises.
Yeah.
So fear was the thing that I underestimated, and we will probably focus more on helping them feel more confident and comfortable that by putting their trust in us, it's not hollow to us. That means something when someone puts their trust in us.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as you go to a doctor obviously because of their expertise. Hey, help evaluate. These are my symptoms. Can you help me determine what's going on? But a lot of what a doctor is doing is also providing assurance to the patient that, hey, we're going to be able to solve this and you're going to be okay, right? So you're effectively going to that expert also for this assurance that we've got you, right? And so I think you're doing a lot of that as well. If you're managing fear, and if people are used to the devil they know and they're willing to dance with that devil, even if it's leading them down the wrong path, that assurance is going to be really crucial. You can tell a great story, you can have a great solution, but if you can't provide the assurance that you've got them throughout the process, then there's still going to be some, I think, trepidation, if you will. So I love that. So last question for you, David, as we're still kind of pre-conference here, right? There's a lot of setup, and it's fun to see all the people moving around to make sure that this goes off without a hitch. But talk to me about what you're feeling as the host of this event, and obviously putting this whole thing together. You've done it once this year already, so at least you had your trial run. But talk to me kind of the emotions, the thoughts, some of the excitement about knowing in an hour or so things are about to go live, and it is what it is at that point.
We have such a great team at True Captive, and our head of customer has done a phenomenal job. Tanya Crawford has put all of this together, curated it down to the minute. So most of us who are speaking and coming together to share our wisdom and our passion only have to focus on sharing the wisdom and passion. So a lot of that anxiousness of getting everything right, Tanya's taken that out for a lot of us. We have a great deal of thanks and gratitude towards her. But really, it's what's the energy of the crowd? What are they expecting? Will they participate? As speakers, we know how to bring people into the conversation and get them there, but you never know what they're expecting. And largely, this industry, people are suspect of what you want. What do you want from me?
What are you selling to me?
What are you selling to me? And honestly, we're not selling. Now, as a byproduct, our brands are going to be showcased, but we're not selling. We're talking about how can you improve your morale at your company? How can you improve retention? How can you deliver a better experience for candidates who are coming into your company? That's our main focal point, and healthcare is a huge decisioning factor for those folks. So, how are they going to respond to that? And that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about because I know we're going to deliver on that. I know we've got a great lineup with a lot of great information from all different areas. So not every story will resonate with every person, but I'm confident that at least every person will have something that they'll take away from a speaker or two. So really excited.
Yeah, I know you are, and I'm confident that that's going to be the case as well. And I definitely want to say thank you to Tanya because Tanya, she's done a great job of coordinating. I've got my own Tanya with Nathan over here that I get to do this, and I get to trust him, obviously, to set this all up. But David, appreciate the invite, appreciate the chance to participate in this event, and I'm very much looking forward to watching the show.
Same, thank you.
Thank you, man.